All gatherings are canceled until further notice. This means no weddings, in-person services, or even parties.
Good morning, everybody. Today is March 21st, 2020. A very cool Saturday. Temperature's only 49 on my thermometer. Let's get the latest numbers in. So far, now 286,932 have been infected worldwide with the COVID-19, including 19,624 in the US alone as of 11:30 a.m. A lot of the cases have been clustered to urban areas, which is pretty natural because of just how close the proximity you are to people, and plus urban areas are not really as, unfortunately, clean as your suburban areas. So obviously you'll see a lot more cases in those areas like New York and Newark. The music that you're hearing, unfortunately, sad news coming out of the music industry. Legend Kenny Rogers passed away earlier this morning. He won a lot of Grammys. He was known for his hits, such as the one that you're listening to, my personal favorite, which is a cover of Bob Seger's We've Got Tonight. But other hits that he had included Islands in the Stream, Lucille, The Gambler. This particular rendition of We've Got Tonight includes Sheena Easton, and news just shocked me quite a bit. I mean, he was 81, so he was getting up there in age, but still, it kind of hurts when you lose Kenny Rogers the same year that you lose Kobe Bryant. But I remembered long road trips whenever I went to Virginia with my family. My dad would always blast Kenny Rogers on the radio, not the radio, on the stereo. He'd have this CD, and he would always play it every time we went to, when we went to Virginia, or when we had this long extended road trip. So I got to know a lot of Kenny's hits through there. Did a lot of extensive work in the country sector, but has also expanded multiple genres, including jazz and rock. So prayers and thoughts to Kenny Rogers' family, and we know that everybody who has been touched by Kenny has been impacted by his music in any way. It feels for you, and we send our sincerest condolences. Latest news: in California, Illinois, and Connecticut, governments have ordered a shelter-in-place or stay-at-home order. That means all non-essential personnel that would normally be working on any given day has to stay home, which means we're going to see a lot of empty roads. And the only reason why you would go out would be to go food shopping, going out for medical appointments, or something as little as walking the dog, but pretty important as well. So, all these little things, not going out, and obviously no large public gatherings. So these states have issued that, and I think multiple states are going to follow, including New Jersey. So I'm going to just take advantage of whatever I can to be able to go out, and just drive around the roads and not order anything before this gets mandated.
Unless they are seeking medical attention or purchasing essential goods or services. New York Governor Cuomo's executive order went into effect at 8 o'clock tonight, closing all personal care services. Now, in New York State, there are 12,260 coronavirus cases. 80 people have died. Of those numbers, there are 8,115 cases in New York City with 60 deaths. There are 1,327 cases in New Jersey with 16 deaths. And in Connecticut, there are 223 cases with 5 deaths. Tonight, Vice President Mike Pence's press secretary announced he tested negative for the virus. There are more than 306,000 cases across the globe. This here's a look at the interactive map from Johns Hopkins University. It shows the spread of the coronavirus cases in real time and across the globe.
Spread of this virus.
All gatherings are canceled until further notice. This means no weddings, in-person services, or even parties.
At the start of the weekend, it came down to this. Governor Phil Murphy announcing his executive order that all 9 million people in New Jersey must stay home.
All retail businesses must close. And all businesses, not just retail, but literally all businesses, must move their employees to work from home wherever possible.
It is the evening of Sunday, March 22nd, and as of the 7:30 p.m. update, there are now a total of 332,577 cases worldwide, 33,073 of those in the U.S. So let me take the opportunity to break the numbers down even further, percentage-wise. The mortality rate is 4.3%. which you get by dividing 14,450 with 332,577. Now, those recovered thus far is 97,875, or 29.5%, which means that 66.2% are currently still battling the illness. I want to focus your attention on the 29.5%. Sure, it's still a small number. I'd like to have that 29.5 be 45.5%. But if you were to look at that number in relation to the mortality rate, it's still significantly higher. And this should provide anybody who is still living in apprehension to let go of those worries just a little bit. The medical response to this has been extremely fast, and I have full confidence by the end of next month that we will start reintroducing our respective daily routines little by little, starting in hopefully May, as the weather starts to warm up considerably. I have no doubt in mind that the percentage of those who fully recover is going to exponentially rise over the mortality rate. However, the best that can actually happen overall is that the number of total infections slows down day by day. Since the first time I showed the stats back on the screen back on March 19th at 2 o'clock p.m., the 2 p.m. update, to the current moment as I am talking to you and filming all of this, we have added 104,834. Still quite a substantial number. So, given that we are in the midst of this uncertainty period so far, here's what I'm going to do. in intervals of 3 days, I will see how many cases we've added in that period of time, as well as calculating the mortality and recovery rate. If the recovery rate starts soaring fast and the mortality rate slows and the number of new cases is less than the sum of that period from March 19 to the 22nd, then I truly believe that we're in the beginning of leveling off, bottoming out, flattening the curve, whatever you want to call it. And this will reassure us that the light at the end of the tunnel may not be too far away. So, enough about numbers, enough about the number of cases of COVID-19. The next set of footage that you are about to see was captured earlier today as I explain a little bit about my interest for NASCAR racing. Enjoy. So, one thing that I never really talk about on camera too much in my history of being on YouTube for many years is the fact that I am a pretty big NASCAR fan. I'm more of an NBA fan, but I still take the time to watch NASCAR races every weekend, whether they would be on a Saturday evening or a Sunday afternoon. I try to put time aside to make sure I catch the races. I've been watching NASCAR since 2003 when I got a game called NASCAR Thunder 2003 for the GameCube as a Christmas gift in '02. And since then, I've been watching NASCAR a lot. Took a little break during my high school years because things started to mount and pile up, and the sport started to go a different direction in which I kind of wasn't too satisfied with. But for the last 5 years, I've been now trying to consistently catch the races. And given what's been happening with the COVID-19 virus, pretty much all of pro sports has stopped competition. No crowds in the stadiums, obviously no competition out in the fields. But what NASCAR has decided to do is, since they can't race on the tracks, they've turned to iRacing. And NASCAR and iRacing recently teamed up to create the iRacing Pro Series, in which this week was supposed to take place in Homestead, the race. The first time that Homestead, Miami wasn't the track, wasn't the season finale. It's been the season finale for pretty much over or almost 2 decades, but now it's just the regular track to be featured on just for the regular season. And this year was supposed to have been the first time that Fox was supposed to broadcast a Homestead Miami race, while ISM Raceway in Phoenix is supposed to serve as the season finale. Well, obviously we know that that's not going to happen. So basically what this iRacing Pro Series is real drivers, that professional drivers like my favorite driver, Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski. They're pretty much racing from home in sort of like this makeshift setup that kind of feels like driving in a car. Like they have the steering wheel and the throttles and pedals and gear shifts and everything, and it will look and feel like an actual race that you would see on TV. They got the commentators, Mike Joy and Jeff Gordon, and Larry Mack, it looks like. And I'm looking at my phone right now. I'm seeing who's going to be competing. Dale Jr., Denny Hamlin, Clint Boyer, Chase Elliott, Logano, and they are going to be competing in Homestead, like a virtual rendition of Homestead Miami Speedway. So I can't wait to actually watch this. And this is, I'm pretty sure the viewership is going to be a little bit on the high side, given that there's no sports on TV except for replays of competitions from, you know, the past years. But this is, even though this is an esports, it's still NASCAR, it's still racing. There's going to be a bit of competition there, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be fun to see how this thing turns out. It'll be the first time I would be seeing some form of iRacing, since I don't really follow that sector of NASCAR racing. So we'll see.
Homestead Miami Speedway for the NASCAR Pro Invitational iRacing Series opener. It's a beautiful day in South Florida. The grandstand is packed with virtual fans. All right, let's just pull back the curtain, Wizard of Oz style. Here we are. We're in Charlotte, North Carolina, in the Steve Burns studio of Fox Sports Charlotte headquarters. I'm Mike Choi. He's Hall of Famer Jeff Gordon. We're practicing social distancing. John Edwards hiding in the shadows. Larry McReynolds in another room. And Clint Boyer, who's going to be competing. Well, he's part of our broadcast team. We'll see how that goes. All right, folks, we know this is not real racing. Sure wish it was on a Sunday. But it's not a video game either. iRacing is a very sophisticated simulation, Jeff, that real race drivers as well as armchair racers use and compete against each other.
Well, these racers that are here, they've been practicing really hard, taking this very serious, and it is very realistic in so many ways. The way the cars drive are very similar to the real cars. Here are some shots from practice in our qualifying session that just ended a short time ago. 2-3 wide racing. You're going to see guys like Chase Briscoe from the Xfinity Series, as well as Jimmy Johnson, 7-time champion, is in the field today. But just like when I say how difficult this can be or realistic, practice and experience pays off. Look, Jimmy Johnson goes around on the back straightaway. Even one of the favorites here today, William Byron in the 24 car, who's great at iRacing, has a lot of runs under his belt, went for a spin. This is Anthony Alfredo from the Xfinity Series. Good thing there's a reset button there, Mike. Pull off. And here's right here off of turn 4, and we're going racing right away. And one thing, you know, that they've been able to simulate, Mike, is clean air versus dirty air. So you will see where being out front has its advantages.
All right, ready for the green flag. We're racing in Homestead. Garrett Smithley on the break from William Byron.
And something else that you saw the race analysis from Larry McReynolds, saving tires is going to be a very important aspect of the strategy. So you might want to push here early, like we see William Byron trying to take the lead from Garrett Smithley right here at the beginning, and he wants that clean air. Then he's going to back off and try to pace himself to maintain as much rubber with those tires and grip on the longer run.
Ty Majeski, Chase Briscoe, 3rd and 4th. They're among the big 4 of NASCAR drivers in iRacing, along with Smithley and Timmy Hill.
And Ty Majeski, a little surprising where he qualified. I think, you know, we were expecting him to maybe start a little bit further up the field, but already pushing and has got himself a little bit further up there. Oh, we got a
Anthony Alfredo.
Now, one thing about iRacing, you won't always see cautions, but a caution did come out for this incident.
William Byron, the only driver in the 24 to stay out. Garrett Smithley on the outside. 2 tires.
Been an interesting race so far. Lots of wrecks you would never really see at Homestead. Big wrecks that you would normally see at Talladega are happening in this virtual rendition of Homestead Miami. 5 cautions. Pretty much the average run is about 4 laps.
He only has 6 green flag laps in those tires, so realistically, you could almost say everybody's kind of even on tires.
Still 31 cars on the lead lap.
No Truex Jr. in this race. The person that is the driver that's in the 19, and they've got a wreck. Eric Jones spins around, and a caution is out again.
That'll be the 6th one.
6th one in 45 laps.
45 for Eric Jones.
And I do want to point out
Well,
something else.
Truex Jr. is not in this race, so Bobby Labonte's in the 19 car.
If you flat spot a tire, blow a tire, you're going to have to come down and get new tires. If you wear out a tire just from...
If Hamlin wins it, Denny, Fox Sports, and Kevin Harvick will each donate $5,000 to aid people affected by the virus in South Florida. But It's far from over with 2.5 to go.
Well, you see the big run Denny Hamlin got right there to the rear bumper, the 8 car. Dale Earnhardt Jr. Now this car, especially late in the race, you got to be careful bump drafting because you can spin that car out very easily in front of you.
Timmy Hill trying to win the race of his life here, battling Dale Jr. and Denny Hamlin.
That pushed Dale Jr. to the lead, but also opened up the door for Denny Hamlin on the outside. It's going to be a heck of a battle when we take this white flag, Mike, because I still think Denny Hamlin has the faster race car because of those pressure tires. Watch this run that Denny Hamlin gets off the top of the racetrack.
1 lap to go, sponsored by, oh, you know.
Well, Dale Jr. saw right there, he moved to the inside, giving the outside to Denny Hamlin, and Denny's going to get there. Wow, what a race on the final lap off of turn 2, side by side. Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Denny Hamlin.
What a march to the front through this field for Hamlin.
That's a lot of Daytona 500 wins among those two drivers.
Hill in third, Briscoe fourth, Smithley fifth. Here they come off the corner for the final time. They all but come together, and the winner is Hamlin.
Wow, what a race. What a finish. Yeah, those fans should be cheering. They saw a heck of a race.
That is incredible. Denny Hamlin bests Dale Earnhardt Jr. off the final corner. Timmy Hill has a great showing, as does Chase Briscoe and Garrett Smithley.
Good afternoon, folks. Today is March the 23rd, 2020, and as of the 11:45 a.m. update, according to Johns Hopkins University coronavirus research, there are now a total of 354,677 total cases worldwide, 35,530 in the U.S. alone, 15,436 deaths worldwide, but 100,467 have been total recovered. You look at the scene in front of you, and isn't this totally emblematic of the uncertainty and the times that we are in? Cold, raw, rainy, something that we really shouldn't be seeing or experiencing if we want to be on the road to recovery. But here's one major storyline that unfortunately, well, today, unfortunately, I've officially now been laid off from my private studio teaching job, which means that just like millions of people here in the US, I'm going to have to file for unemployment. However, I was never close to being full-time anyway, since private studio teaching is just a part-time job. It's pretty impossible to make it your full-time job. So hopefully the punch, okay, isn't, so to speak, isn't as hard for me as it is for other people. My manager will have me still do online lessons, and I will still get paid for those. It's just that because I filed for unemployment, for me it technically means that I have to go back to being a contractor, since my weekly roster will now take a significant dip. But it kind of feels a little surreal to say, wow, I've actually been laid off. Any young people who are watching this, you're lucky that you get to be homeschooled or doing online learning over the internet, because for people like me, especially, I'm still young, only been a couple years out of college, to have to be laid off from a job because of circumstances that are out of my control, it's pretty wild, to say the least. And speaking of wild, just listen to that wind.